So we got the chapter 159 spoilers, actually a full summary this time. It's just one of those weeks. And it seems like we're going to be pausing the story in this chapter because it seems like this is going to primarily focus on one of the characters that was mentioned in the previous chapter, who was Higuruma Hiromi. So I wouldn't expect any more developments with the Culling game or Yuji, Megumi, Hashimo, and all of that stuff. So let's get into it. Title of the chapter is Judgment. It's a flashback chapter looking into Higuruma Hiromi's past. So like I said, this guy's name was dropped in the previous chapter when Yuji and Megumi were looking at the Culling game participants. They were looking for the players with the highest points so that they could search out those people and try to convince them to make specific rules, such as like transferring points between players or just simply getting Sumiki out of the game. And at that point, there was like two people with points of 100 or more. There was the one guy looking for Sukuna, Hashimo Hajime, and then there's this other guy that we're going to be taking a look at in this chapter, Higuruma Hiromi, who currently has 102 points, meaning that he's eligible to make a new rule in the Culling game. And given that this chapter is going to focus on him, I think it's very likely that we're going to see Yuji and Megumi eventually track this guy down. We see that he is a lawyer, so that was kind of expected too, because when we actually got a glimpse of this guy in the previous chapter, we saw him like wearing a suit and holding a gavel. So we knew that he was going to have to do something with like law. Either he was going to be like a judge or a lawyer, and in this case he's the latter. Although 99.9% of Japan's trials end with guilty verdicts, he usually tried to seriously investigate cases when he legitimately thought the defendant was innocent, which his co-workers thought it was strange of him, as it usually ends with his clients resenting him for failing to prove them innocent. So at first I thought, like, is this like a statistic in the Jujutsu Kaisen world maybe? Then I looked it up, and apparently this is the truth. Like, there's a 99% guilty verdict rate in Japanese trials. That's certainly a statistic. In a conversation with a coworker, he says that he's not actually trying to save the weak or anything like that. He's mainly trying to open his own eyes so that he can accept all of it. In the middle of the chapter, he gets a not guilty verdict, but he predicts that the prosecution will appeal to it soon enough, and turns out he's right. It's implied that no matter what evidence he could show, there was never any chance of this ending with anything other than the defendant being declared guilty. As the trial is ending, Higuruma starts slamming his own desk with a judge mallet, like the one that we saw in the previous chapter, getting the attention of everyone around him. Everyone, back to your seats, we're starting this over. Behind him appears a black figure with balance scales for arms and a white face with eyes stitched. The chapter ends declaring that Higuruma Hiromi is a player in the Culling game. That's pretty cool, but also, pretty morbid at the same time, because we know what's going to happen after this. We know that he's going to accumulate at least 102 points, and I don't know how many sorcerers are in this courtroom right now, but I'm assuming that he's going to straight up slaughter everyone in here, because clearly he's snapped. I mean, he already looked unhinged when we got a glimpse of him at the end of the previous chapter. And as for his curse technique, we do see what it could be in this chapter, and it's pretty accurately described here. A black figure with balance scales for arms and a white face with eyes stitched. So it looks like a cross between like a Stand from JoJo Part 5 and like a Menos Grande from Bleach. Now, what is this ability? No way to know. And even if we did see like a little bit of it, we still would have no idea, because trying to figure out Jujutsu Kaisen curse techniques with like little information is pretty much an exercise in futility, because they wind up being so nuanced and so overly complicated, such as what we just got over with Kirara's curse technique, which almost needed like a literal chapter dedicated to just explain what it was. So this Menos Grande Lady Justice stand looking thing could have this, crazy bizarre curse technique that just, ends with you being killed. Because we can at least assume it's capable of doing that. And obviously it fits with the whole justice and legal system theme, since, like I said, it's kind of like Lady Justice, justice is blind and it has scales and all that stuff. Now, what's going to happen with this guy? Well, like I said, I'm assuming Yuji and Megumi are going to track him down, and it's probably not going to go well. And also, it would probably never be that easy. Like, oh, we found the guy who has the points to add rules, and we successfully convince him to do it for us. And we don't have to get our hands dirty in the process, and now Sumiki's out of the game, and the rest is gonna work out. It's like, no way. On top of the fact that this guy has lost his mind pretty much. So I'm assuming that he's, not going to comply with them, and they're probably gonna fight. And then that's gonna play like a larger, more significant part into the story, I suppose. Because why else would Gege dedicate a whole entire chapter to this guy if he turns out to not be that significant? If this is in fact the entire chapter, what we're seeing here, like it's just completely dedicated to this guy, which it seems like it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the spoilers, and I wish there was more I could talk about, but it just doesn't seem like we're getting too much from this chapter. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and if you liked it, guys, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.